Imagine a murder investigation where all the characters are animals. An innocent victim and, of course, all the usual suspects. Join me at the animal crime scene to play detective and track down a killer. Using the very latest forensic science, we'll discover all the evidence. So, as our murder mystery unfolds, can you figure out who did it? East Africa, the perfect place for a murder. Here, you either hunt or you're hunted. Day or night, there's no let-up. There are always killers on the loose. Every drop of blood, every footprint tells a story. If we follow the trail, it will lead us to a murder. But there's something disturbing about this case. It's not just that the suspects are some of the most notorious killers on Earth. No, it's because our victim was just a baby. In order to solve this case, we must turn back the clock and investigate every detail of our victim's life. Only by putting his life under the microscope will we discover who is the African assassin. Our investigation starts at the scene of the crime, on the wild plains of East Africa. This may be a fictional whodunit, but it's based on things that really do happen in the natural world. To solve this case, we'll hear evidence from scientists and will be guided by the very latest forensic techniques to establish the facts and identify the killer. Our only link to our victim's death is the physical evidence surrounding the body. Every animal leaves traces of itself, and every piece of evidence tells a story. So first, we must collect it all, however small, however unusual. Some clues are only temporary, like a footprint. Others are microscopic. But somewhere in all of this is the lead that will take us straight to a killer. Few murder victims die without the perpetrator leaving some incriminating evidence, especially in nature, where murder can be very messy indeed. To make sense of all these clues, we'll need the help of a crime lab. This is the nerve center of our investigation, our virtual crime lab. Here we will examine our victim and all the evidence in meticulous detail. An interactive crime board will provide everything we need to know about the victim as well as the suspects. An autopsy is underway to help us answer our first question: who is the victim? It's a gazelle, and it's been partially eaten. Using information from the autopsy, we can reconstruct what it looked like when it was alive. Its brown coat, white rump, and black tail identify it as a Thomson's gazelle. A male, 6 weeks old. Thomson's gazelles, or Tommies, are found only in East Africa. They're peaceful grazers who like the quiet life, feeding on short grasses on the open plains. This is a grazer's paradise. However, this wasn't a good neighbourhood for our young fawn for a very important reason. He was on nearly everyone's menu. Right from birth, he was a target for killers, so he had to be up on his feet straight away, whatever it took. Tommies are born to run. They just need to find their legs first. By 6 weeks old, he was a nimble sprinter, but still dependent on his mother. And that leads us to one of our first mysteries. The fawn's mother hasn't been seen since we discovered his body. We just don't know where she is. Establishing the time of death can tell us who was in the area. Our victim was found in the early evening. He couldn't have been dead for long, since scavengers make short work of a corpse in Africa. So, time of death, late afternoon or early evening. That means our investigation should have collected the freshest of evidence. We know our fawn was partially eaten. Was this the work of a killer or scavengers after he died? Blood will give us the answer. Wounds only bleed from victims who are alive. The amount of blood around our fawn's body proves he did not go gently into that good night. We are definitely on the trail of a killer. So, who's in the frame? What predators had the motive, the ability, and the opportunity to take down our fawn? Africa is packed with the strongest and fastest predators on Earth. All had the ability, and their motive was clear: to make a meal of him. But what killer had the opportunity? Our Thompson's gazelle was surrounded by danger 24 hours a day. So who were his enemies? Let's call on our first expert witness.
The biggest natural threat to Thompson's gazelle fawns is predators, but they can also succumb to some diseases, especially if they are weakened. With so many predators, in addition to all the other hazards in life, they have a less than 30% chance of actually making it to adulthood. Almost any predator that detects a Tommy fawn will try and kill it. The biggest threat comes from cats like cheetahs and leopards, and dogs like jackals.
So we have an initial list of suspects, all with previous form. The cheetah, the professional killer; the leopard, the master of ambush; and the jackal, the clever trickster who'll kill whenever he gets the opportunity. So, can we pin any of the evidence we've found on one of these suspects? We'll need to build up an accurate picture of the crime scene. However, there is one problem. The African plain is such a busy place that vital evidence could be lost or contaminated. This is like investigating a human murder in a crowded public place, a detective's worst nightmare. We can only rely on what we've already collected. Let's start with the most obvious marks left by animals at the scene: footprints. It's clear that several different animals left tracks all around the crime scene. Now our job is to make sense of them. Let's first map out our gazelle footprints onto the virtual crime scene. Next, we need to discover what other footprints come in contact with them. It looks like there's been a scuffle. The tracks are fresh, so let's run them through our database. The closest match is a jackal. It looks like our crime scene is in the territory of a pack of jackals. Let's look at how they operate. The jackal's mob is a family-run operation, consisting of a male and female and their hungry offspring. The family that kills together stays together. The jackal likes the easy life, so it targets gazelle fawns. Its success rate is as high as 50%, and that has to make it a chief suspect. Was this the day of the jackal? The jackal checks out the local neighbourhood every few days in search of food. So, did it come across our fawn? All alone in the grass, a fawn seems vulnerable. But in fact, this is an excellent strategy to avoid predators. Sitting low and still, the fawn is all but invisible. But the jackal has an exceptional sense of smell. Did it sniff out our fawn?
Young fawns have very little odour, as their scent glands are undeveloped, and this stops predators with a keen sense of smell from detecting them, and the mother finds the fawn's hiding place by memory.
So our young Tommy would have made the jackal work for its meal. Our fawn also had another line of defence, his mother. She helped him stay scentless by grooming him. But the jackal is persistent. It will comb the grass for its prize. So, did it find our fawn? Well, the footprints tell a different story. The jackal footprints meet those of an adult Tommy. Was our fawn's mother involved? When a jackal approaches a fawn, its mother will try to distract it away. She can outrun it, but this is still a dangerous strategy. If all else fails, she may even attack the jackal. In nature, a mother's courage can change your chances. The footprints support this behaviour. Sometime before his death, our fawn's mother drove the jackal away. So we now have the first piece of the puzzle. Our fawn's mother saved him from a dangerous jackal earlier that day. And we know that our young fawn had his own lie-low strategy to avoid predators. The jackal may be clever, but he couldn't outfox both mother and fawn. The evidence from the crime scene is mounting up. In forensic science, hair, skin and blood are all identifiable calling cards. We found this hair at the crime scene. Each species of mammal has hair with its own unique microscopic structure. So, whose hair have we found? This hair has rounded scales with rough patches. It's consistent with cat hair. But which cat? We found a match. It's a cheetah hair. The hair proves that a cheetah visited the scene of the crime. A separate match on footprints shows the cheetah's path through the area. The cheetah holds a land speed record in East Africa, but does it have a criminal record that involves Tommies? The cheetah certainly has a long rap sheet. It's a killer designed to pursue the swiftest prey. Tommies rely on their speed to evade predators, but this cat's the one hunter that can overtake them. He's not just fast, he's stealthy. This is a race to the death between the two fastest animals on the savannah. The cheetah is faster, but the gazelle is more agile and can turn more sharply than a cheetah. Outmaneuvering her pursuer is now this gazelle's only chance. One in 3 Tommies loses the race with death. And many of them are the slower fawns. But did a cheetah kill our fawn? We need to know what he and his mother would do if confronted by a cheetah. We can apply what we know about Thomson gazelle behavior to this situation. Once she sees a cheetah, a mother Tommy would keep her distance. She's brave, but she can't escape an attack from close quarters. If she's caught, her fawn won't survive either. The fawn would use the same strategy as before. Keep low and out of sight in the grass. A cheetah's vision sees only limited colour. But it's quick to spot any movement. By remaining still, the fawn may not be detected. This strategy really does work, but try holding your nerve with a killer bearing down on you. The cheetah may know something is there, but remarkably, it has not seen it. But being a prime suspect.
室内空气中藏匿污染，戴森空气净化暖风扇精准监测，高效净化，每秒喷射高达300升洁净气流，冬季均匀制暖，全年净化整屋空间。
世界你我情牵更亲近。
惊喜不断，月入上万，不花钱还赚钱的绿色游戏，一秒一级，绝不忽悠，一刀满级绿色版，装备回收秒到账。等什么？你姑姑将带上你的大雕来抢钱。
Isn't enough to pronounce the cheetah guilty. We need firm evidence. Once again, the answer may lie in the pattern of the footprints. In places, the cheetah tracks are overlaid by those of another animal. Was this character another killer or just an eyewitness? Even with all its power and speed, the cheetah never has it easy. There are eyes everywhere, a whole host of animals wanting to grass him up. Once the killer's spotted, the neighborhood watch sounds the alarm. His cover blown, the predator can only watch today's dinner run away. So, were those other footprints from friend or foe? The tracks beside the cheetahs were made by a baboon. A troop of savannah baboons lives at the edge of our crime scene. They had front row seats to witness the murder. So, what do we know about baboons? This primate lives in groups with up to 50 members. They spend most of their days foraging on roots, shoots, and insects, and like some other primates, they sometimes supplement their diet with meat. They feed mainly at dawn and dusk, and are often seen grazing with antelope like Thompson's gazelles. There's a good reason why the baboon and the antelope have become allies. The baboon has excellent vision. It can see in full colour, just like us. Not only is this useful in finding food, it can also reveal predators. An antelope has black and white vision. Its wide-set eyes enable it to scan a large area, but sometimes it can't see what's right in front of it. To a baboon, however, this scene looks much more dangerous. This is why it pays to team up with baboons. They can alert the antelope to danger. The baboons benefit too. Antelope have very sharp hearing, with ears that can rotate and lock onto potential killers. But the baboon will do more than just sound the alarm. It'll see off a predator. A big male baboon weighs the same as a cheetah, enough to give him a run for his money. This explains the footprints we found. At some stage before the fawn's death, the baboon chased off the cheetah. So we should now downgrade the cheetah as a suspect. Where does this leave our investigation? Let's recap. We reconstructed the crime scene and discovered that our victim, a young Thompson's gazelle, died in the late afternoon. Footprints at the crime scene identified two main suspects who were both here on the day the fawn died. But it now seems that they're in the clear. The jackal was driven off by the fawn's very protective mother, and the baboon chased away our other suspect, the cheetah. With those two major suspects out of the frame, we now need to widen the investigation. What other evidence from the crime scene might pinpoint the killer? In any investigation, nothing can be ruled out, however insignificant it may seem. We made one unusual discovery only a short distance from the fawn's body. Back in the lab, we can see that this new piece of evidence consists of matted hair and small bones. It's a vulture pellet, made up of all the indigestible bits from the vulture's meal and then regurgitated after the bird fed. We need to find out what type of hair this is. Under the microscope, the result gives our investigation a twist. The hair in the pellet is from a Thompson's gazelle. Have we caught the vulture red-handed? This suspect needs to be shadowed. The vulture spends most of its time in the air, scanning up to 300 kilometers a day with pin-sharp vision in search of carcasses. It thrives on the misfortune of others. Casing the joint pays off. It's often the first to know when fresh meat comes available. Did its aerial surveillance spot our fawn? Working together, vultures are formidable. They can reduce an adult Tommy to bones in an hour. The vulture is normally a scavenger, but is it possible that it could be the killer? There's one species that might fit the bill. The lappet-faced vulture is the biggest, toughest vulture of them all. It's not afraid to throw its weight around, and it certainly dominates all the other vultures on a carcass. It seems strong enough to kill a fawn, but would it? Let's ask an expert.
There's no doubt that the lappet-faced vulture is the most powerful of all the vultures in that it's got the most massive bill and it also has a very heavily built body. So the lappet-faced vulture would be the one species that would have the potential to be a predator.
So it has the potential, but would it do the deed?
Vultures are specialised for feeding on dead animals, and they have to search over many hundreds of miles a day. So they don't use flapping flight like most birds do. That would just take far too much energy. They fly by using gliding flight, and they just soar on rising air currents. But a consequence of that is that they have lost all of the skills you really need to be able to be a good predator. So they can't land accurately on an animal. They also have remarkably delicate wings which break very easily. And if the fawn were to have enough strength in it to actually attack the vulture, or even worse, if the fawn's mother were to return and if she were to attack the vulture, then it's very likely that the bird would be quite severely injured before it could escape. And this is why vultures are so timid when they're approaching sick animals. They really can't afford to take the risk that that animal might have enough strength left in it to attack them and to injure them. So they normally just wait, and they wait until the animal dies, and they wait until they know that it's dead, and only then do they feel it's going to be safe enough to move in and start feeding. Lappet-faced vultures and the other vulture species are quite common birds, and they've been studied by many people for a number of years, and there are no reliable reports of any vulture species killing a live animal. So I think it extremely unlikely that this lappet-faced vulture would have killed the Tommy fawn.
So, the vulture may be the ugliest mug on the block, but it didn't kill our fawn. It's just too timid. This line of inquiry is at a dead end. Time to move on. At times, Africa can seem an impossible place to solve a murder mystery. Countless numbers of animals means countless numbers of suspects. Many seem improbable killers, but then murder is never easy to predict. Our fawn was nimble and quick, But one of the suspects was faster, stronger, or smarter, possibly all three. Only by sticking to the facts, the evidence and what we know about animal behaviour, will we be able to work out who killed our fawn. We should still consider everyone a suspect, no matter how small. Sometimes evidence can appear in the most surprising way. In the lab, the scent tells us it's dung, but it's rolled up into a ball. Someone has tampered with the evidence. Where there are lots of animals, there's a lot of dung. Here, up to 5,000 tons every day. Clearing it all up is the job of the master rubbish collectors of the African plain, the dung beetles. While vultures clean up carcasses, the beetles clean up dung. The beetles come fully equipped for their mission and can smell dung over a kilometre away. Not only do they feed on it, they also lay their eggs in it. If we'd come to the crime scene any later, they might have eaten the evidence. But fortunately, some beetles like to roll up the dung and stash it away for later. This explains why our evidence was tampered with. As the dung is quite fresh, the animal that dropped it might very well be involved in the crime. We need to find out whose dung it is. A simple test can identify specific molecules that will tell us what animal it came from. Although dung beetles usually feed on herbivore dung, at least one species does sometimes go for carnivore dung. And that's exactly what we have here. Another suspect. The leopard. Our next step will be to work out what this cat ate, and particularly if Tommy was on the menu. In the meantime, what do we know about this killer's rap sheet? She doesn't seem much of a killer, at least during the day. But the leopard is really a creature of the night. We need to move our investigation into the witching hour. Our fawn's body was discovered after dark in the early evening. How do the dangers in East Africa change after dusk? Without doubt, this is a dangerous time. Predators are active and much harder for gazelles to see. The neighbourhood baboons take to the trees for safety. Their night vision is poor too. But gazelles are left out in the open to fend for themselves. The fawns lie low. Their mothers only sleep for a few minutes at a time to keep a lookout. The cats rule the night. The leopard has excellent night vision, with eyes very sensitive to low-level light. As antelope rely on their hearing, the leopard has to be very quiet. Leopard hunts at night are much more successful than in the day, but it's never easy getting close to a wary antelope. If the leopard failed against bigger prey the night of the murder, did she then turn to our fawn as an easier meal? It would have been an irresistible opportunity. So what exactly did the leopard eat? The test results are back. Hair found in the dung ball belonged to an impala, so the leopard got close enough after all. Let's see what happened. Under cover of darkness, the local leopard killed and fed on an impala. Impala are large, so the leopard would have stored the remains up a tree, away from scavengers. Dung from the leopard was later rolled up by a beetle. However, none of this means it didn't kill the fawn as well. Is there any hard evidence that can rule out the leopard? The answer lies in the way the leopard kills its prey. Strangulation is the leopard's preferred way to kill. Let's check the autopsy for marks on our fawn's neck. There are no bite marks and no bruising or crush marks. The neck is intact. Most cats kill by grasping their prey's neck to deprive it of oxygen. A fierce grip around the neck, and it's over in no time. But our fawn wasn't killed this way, so all stranglers must be ruled out for now. This includes the jackal, which also goes for the neck and the head. We need to turn our attention to hunters with a different MO, or modus operandi. That means looking at a whole new group of suspects, casting the net wider, searching for more unusual evidence. Is there any evidence that can point us in the right direction? The last footprints we found at the crime scene are proving hard to identify. That's not unusual. Tracks in the wild rarely resemble those in a textbook. Our database gives us the closest match: hyena and cheetah. We ruled out the cheetah, but what about the hyena? There's a family of spotted hyenas here. This killer has one of the worst reputations in Africa, and, crucially, a way of killing that matches the MO we're now looking for. This pack has youngsters to feed, so the pressure's on to find food. The hyena is an opportunist. She'll scavenge food from other predators, but also hunt down whatever looks vulnerable. Hyenas target Tommy fawns. There's not much a mother can do, especially when there's more than one hyena. A 6-week-old fawn can still run fast, but the hyena has much greater stamina. The hyena is a very messy killer. It shakes to death its smaller prey. Larger prey are simply ripped apart. This matches some of our victims' injuries. So, did the hyena catch our fawn? The hyena will eat more of a carcass than any other predator. Its massive jaws can crunch up the hardest bones, and powerful acids in its stomach dissolve them within hours. So, if the hyena caught our Tommy fawn, nothing would remain of its body. The trail's gone cold. The tracks must be another red herring, an animal passing through the area sometime before our fawn died. So, where are we in our investigation? Let's recap what we've found. We've dismissed all the cats, including our prime suspect, the cheetah. The jackal attacked our fawn but was chased away. The vulture has been discounted. Exploring those suspicious dog-type prints hasn't helped. The hyena wasn't responsible. and there are no other dogs in the area. We've investigated so many of the local animals that by now it's almost certain we've met the killer. But who is it? What have we overlooked? Just in case we've missed something, our crime team are widening the search area. We've already learned that the African plain is a frantic and busy place. Perhaps some of our evidence has been moved. Is this a new lead? In fact, it's something that might turn our investigation on its head. Another body. Beginning at our crime scene, we only need to travel a kilometre to reach this new body. But is it connected to our murder? It's an adult female Thompson gazelle up in a tree. Unlike the death of the fawn, this is an open and shut case. The only animal that could drag an adult gazelle up in a tree is the leopard, to keep its meal away from scavengers. This carcass has been up there about a day. There are large claw marks on the body, and the cause of death? Strangulation. All the hallmarks of a leopard attack. So the question we're all asking, is this our fawn's mother? DNA profiling will give us the answer. It most definitely is our fawn's mother. She must have been caught sometime after she chased off the jackal. Now that changes everything. Our fawn was alone. Without his mother, he was missing his most important line of defense. Without her, some of our discounted suspects could have got away with murder. We need to retrace our steps. We know the leopard wasn't a serial killer. Our fawn wasn't strangled. Nor is there any sign of a cheetah attack. But anyway, it was chased off by the baboon, who was watching everything. Maybe we should investigate the witness. We also know the jackal was seen off by the mother, but did he return after she died? Finally, should we reconsider the vulture? Our expert hasn't seen it kill, but in nature there's a first for everything, especially with Mum out of the way. There's one more test we can try. Our fawn's body is covered in vaporized super glue. This technique is risky, it could prevent further tests, but it will reveal marks invisible to the naked eye. On the hoof, we discover a mark more often seen at a human crime, a fingerprint. We know of no human assassin. Did the crime scene investigators contaminate the evidence? No, because this is not a human fingerprint. It belongs to a different primate, the baboon. Why did the baboon touch our fawn? Did it scavenge food from the body? Let's see what an expert thinks.
Baboons eat a wide range of foods, and for this reason they're often called omnivores. Some people object to that term. Although they eat many different things, they are still very selective in what they eat. Like many species in these environments, they feed primarily on plant material, but they also eat a lot of animal material, largely invertebrates and small things like bird eggs, lizards, possibly frogs, birds, rabbits if they can catch them. I don't think we could actually say that the baboons hunt these animals. Really, it's sort of a case of snatch and grab. If something pops up, if they see it close and think they can get it, they'll run and literally grab it and bite. Scavenging is surprisingly rare to non-existent. even an absolutely fresh kill, killed literally in front of the baboons, but not by another baboon, is always ignored, in my experience, by the baboons.
So it's unlikely the baboon would scavenge our fawn's body. Since it's not a true predator, it doesn't have the stomach to digest meat that isn't totally fresh. But if it wasn't scavenging, what was it doing, handling our fawn? Did it leave the print when the fawn was still alive? Let's review the vital evidence and what we know about the baboons. Its footprints cover the crime scene, which conveniently is right on the edge of its territory. The bloody wounds show a messy kill, not very professional. The baboon is a watchful ally of Tommy's, but he's also mean enough to chase off our prime suspect. As uncomfortable as it seems, we can only draw one conclusion. Our gazelle's good neighbour was, in fact, the neighbour from hell. The baboon is our African assassin. He was ideally placed to watch over everything. He saw the mother chase off the jackal and even helped out by chasing off the cheetah. But he was simply waiting for his own opportunity. Everything changed when the mother died. If the baboon saw her killed, then he knew our fawn was totally vulnerable. His moment had arrived. All our fawn's instincts were alert to a more professional killer, but the baboon had a more deadly weapon than any other suspect. Like all primates, he had the power of intelligent thought, which he used to outwit the fawn. He watched the situation unfold and worked out how to catch the fawn with his bare hands. But our fawn was hiding, so how was it spotted? The baboon's full colour vision, so useful for spotting predators, found our fawn in the grass. Without his mother, the fawn also lost the benefit of her experience. He only knew the baboon as a helpful neighbour, and no doubt felt safe enough to break cover. A mistake. Most murders are committed by someone the victim knew. Our fawn's protector turned predator. In Africa, you either hunt or you're hunted. As we've discovered, it's all about having the motive, the ability, and most important, the opportunity. So our murder investigation is complete. The baboon did it with his bare hands, sharp canines, and a brain that was waiting for the right opportunity. Case closed.